Well, folks, I got to be dead honest with you. Sometimes when I sit down to do a video like this, the subject matter is so absurd that I say to myself, how am I ever going to get through a video without laughing? That's definitely the case with today's topic, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and warn you, I may bust a gut laughing, and if I do, you're just going to have to wait on me to recover because I don't have a whole lot of takes in me on this video. So there is a right-wing journalist by the name of Scott Greer, and he took to Twitter to post this with a straight face. To those who might say the right needs its own Taylor Swift for young women to look up to, I already have an answer for that. Her name is Lauren Boebert. Yeah, he actually posted that, put that out into the world, and that is a hill that he is willing to die on. And the first thing that went through my head when I read that was, dude, you don't really have to try that hard to get a date with Lauren Boebert. I mean, if you got a crush on her and you really want a date, I don't think you have to make a fool of yourself on a public platform to do so, okay? I think that would be a pretty easy win for you. But the minute he started to get mocked, he began to double down. And this is where I'm going to have a hard time reading this, but here we go. Libs are going to be very mad about this, but I've got some bad news for them. Conservatives aren't going to apologize for being proud BOEBIES. So the left has Swifties, and the right wing's answer to that is BOEBIES. Lauren Boebert is who this guy thinks should be an example for young women. Lauren Boebert. Take all the time you need with that. Start thinking back to all the things we've talked about that Lauren Boebert has done. And then say to yourself, is that really who that I want my daughter to look up to? But now we got to stop and realize that this guy, Scott Greer, he's another one of these people that believes that the whole Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce relationship is some sort of government plot to re-elect Joe Biden. So that's the kind of mind frame that this guy's in when he comes up with this ridiculous idea of BOEBIES. Now, I'm going to tell y'all a story. I grew up in a very small town in southeast Kentucky, home of Lee Majors, okay? And that was our claim to fame. That was built in a crater. But anyway, so we grew up in a small town, and I grew up back in the 80s and the 90s, back during the whole satanic panic, okay? We had this little shopping mall, which wouldn't be a shopping mall in your town, I'm sure. It would just be like I don't know what the hell you call it in your city, but to us, it was the mall. And to the people way back in the holler, oh man, it was the big time. It was the mall. And the parents was so scared for kids to go to the mall because they was afraid that if we went to the mall, we might hook up with some devil worshipers. We might go out behind the mall and we might worship Satan. And the one thing that they were so worried about happening was what might happen if us young boys went into the theaters with the young girls. They were scared to death as to what might happen in the movie theater if they let the kids just go to the movies. You know where I'm going with this. And so now they are lined up behind a woman who walked into a public theater with children present and groped her boyfriend in front of their God and everybody. And that's okay. I know so many people in my lifetime growing up that have been shamed so bad for every mistake they've made, and they've been forced to come back to church and get on the altar and pray and repent in front of Mama so you can come to Sunday dinner and nobody won't throw no more stones at you. And yet they line up to get behind Lauren Boebert and her dysfunctional family, and they say to us, that is our answer to Taylor Swift. That's who they want to inspire their young women. How ridiculous and how absurd can you honestly be? And I know what a lot of people are going to say. They're going to say, well, who are you to judge? You ain't perfect. No, folks, I'm not, okay? I played country music in dive bars in East Tennessee for 20-some years, okay? I lived it up. I partied as hard as someone possibly could in my little own corner of the world, okay? I got the Hunter S. Thompson bat to prove it, all right? But I never claimed to be morally perfect. I'm not out here running for office. I'm not telling you that your children should look up to me, and I sure as hell ain't telling you that I have God on my side. I'm not up here making lighthearted jokes and passing shit off. I'll tell you what I've done. I mean, hell, I've made a lot of mistakes, but I'm not up here saying that your children should look up to me and that I should be a role model and that I'm doing it for Jesus. And that's the problem that I have with Lauren Boebert and the people out there that now wants to call themselves BOEBIES. It's ridiculous. Look, I mean, I know Keith Richards is not a good hero for your kids, okay? The guy done a lot of shit. I'm not saying he is, but he was never out there trying to be a role model for anybody. He wasn't out there running for office. He wasn't out there saying God was on his side. So it's so ridiculous that they have an audience built in, just ready to be BOEBIES. They'll switch and do this. And they're the very people who would have crucified any girl when I was growing up. Any girl that even came close to acting like Lauren Boebert would have been shamed completely out of my little small town. They would have been shamed completely out of every theater, and they would have been on the altar being shamed in front of the entire congregation for what Lauren Boebert does, and they cast their vote for her.